My grandpa, the professor, walks me to school every day. He must be the smartest man in the world. I can ask him any question, and he always knows the answer. Grandpa says it's thanks to the country school he went to as a boy. I never get tired of hearing him tell his story.
In 1940, when I was a little boy, I went to a small country school. There were only 3 rooms. First and second grades were in one room, third and fourth and fifth in another, and sixth and seventh and eighth were in the last.
Most of the kids in school, no matter how young, had to work a job. Their families needed them. Joseph Casey and his sister Amelia milked 9 cows every morning before school, and again in the afternoon when they got home. Joseph's arms were so strong from this they looked like Popeye's arms. Amelia was slight in spite of her work.
Johnny Wheeler pumped gas in his father's station every afternoon. My dad was a doctor in the local hospital, a place with no work for a little boy. Still, I helped my family by planting, weeding, and harvesting the vegetable garden. In winter, I helped in the kitchen, peeling and chopping all the vegetables.
We had spelling bees, geography bees, history bees, even multiplication table bees. These were tournaments that lasted the whole year. Everyone lined up in order of age, youngest first. The line went all the way around the room. You had to answer a given question. As long as you answered correctly, you kept your place in line. But if you missed and the kid behind you got it right, he moved ahead of you.
No one wanted to be passed in the line. Unless he was careful, the passer could be tripped accidentally on purpose. Each new day, the line started where it had ended the day before. At the end of the year, whoever was first in line was the winner. The prize was $3, a lot of money in those days. Of course, by that time we all knew the right answers. We had heard them hundreds of times.
Were you the winner, Grandpa? I asked. I was, Grandpa answered, every year, in all the bees. I wanted to know. Yes, every year, Grandpa said. This is until, well, but that becomes later in the story. Grandpa went on. In the middle of the morning, we had recess in the open field next to school. An old maple tree encircled by a bench was home base for all our games of Ring-a-Levio. The object of the game was to run back and forth from the fence at one end of the field to the bench at the other end without being tagged. When winter came, we had great snowball fights in the snow fort we built. One winter, the snow was so deep, workers had to dig a tunnel for people to walk under to cross the road. Cars drove right underneath it, too. By lunchtime, we were really hungry. We each bought our own food in a lunchbox. The kids who sat near Oscar Brian were lucky. His mother packed him the best peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, enough for 5 of us.
The schoolroom was heated by a wood-burning pot-bellied stove. Many a cold day we never took off our coats or even hats.
We had no bathroom in the school. Instead, there was a little wooden outhouse high up on the hill behind the school. In the winter, we boys often didn't go all the way up there. Miss Rundle Southworth always complained, "Now, boys, don't let me see those yellow holes in the snow." But still, we did it. The girls weren't so lucky. They had to climb all the way up to the outhouse.
One year, when we had started 3rd grade, we found a surprise waiting for us. A shiny new tile bathroom stood inside the school. The kids stood gaping in amazement. Many of them had never seen a toilet before. They lived in farmhouses without indoor plumbing. Our teacher, Miss Berry patiently showed us how to flush the toilet and how the seat went up and down. Even the roll of toilet paper had to be explained.
In our simple little school, every one of us learned how to locate on the map any country or city in the world, any ocean, lake, or river, any mountain range, or any desert. We learned the names of the U.S. government officials, the president, the vice president, cabinet members, senators, and congressmen. We recited these facts over and over so many times. They stuck. I know them to this day, and I have always kept track of who's in office.
Since there were 2 or 3 grades in every room, you couldn't help hearing what the kids in the other grades were learning. And when you forgot something, you could pick up from the last year's work to help you remember. I listened so well, I skipped 4th grade.
Luckily, even though I was small for 5th grade, I was good at baseball. That kept the farm kids off my back for skipping ahead. Springtime brought flies, millions of them. Over the weekend, the whole school was fumigated to kill them. On Monday, the only way we could stand the smell was to open the windows.
We had no screens, so in came more flies. Sticky fly paper hung all over the room to trap them, but it didn't help much.
One day we heard exciting news. The one-room schoolhouse in Dover Furnace, the neighboring town, shut down. The kids in that school were moving to our school. We couldn't wait to see them all. We stood outside to greet them, expecting a whole busload. We were surprised when the pickup truck arrived with only 3 kids got out. 2 boys and a girl named Kayla Brush. No wonder they closed that school. I didn't expect that place as my number 1 in the spelling history bees would be in danger.
When we lined up, I was first as usual. The new girl was right behind me. I was asked to spell occasion. No problem. I knew there was 2 C's and 1 S in that word. Kate Brush knew that too. The teacher then went through the line and came back to me. My next word was chrysanthemum. I spelled chrysanthemum wrong. Kay then spelled chrysanthemum. She knew the trick. There was a the in the word. I missed and she moved in front of me in the line to first place. She was now number 1.
So you weren't the smartest, Grandpa? So it seems he said. He went on to finish the story.
When the promotion day came, we had a picnic on the playing field. Everyone bought baskets of food. We ate together and played our favorite games. Then Mr. Keyes, the principal, announced who promoted and who was left back. Junior Jordan, 14 years old, was finally promoted to 4th grade. For the first time, Kay Brush won the $3 spelling prize and the history prize. She was better in those subjects than I was, but I won the math and geography. It was a grand day.
When I was in 7th grade, we moved to the city, and I went to a big city school. It was 3 stories high with long corridors and countless rooms. Not only did they have indoor bathrooms, but many of them separate, ones for the boys and girls. I was overwhelmed. I never imagined such a large school.
But the biggest surprise of all was what those kids didn't know. The first day, we took a math test, of course, in the country. I'd been listening to the 8th grade all year. I finished my exam in 10 minutes. The rest of the class took almost an hour. I got the highest grade, 100. The teacher held up my paper. The expression on her face said, "Look what the hick from the country learned at his little school." But she didn't say that. She only smiled. Little did she know that most of the country kids from our three-room school could have done just as well.
That's a great story, Grandpa. Did you ever see Kay brush again? I asked. Suddenly I realized something. Grandpa, Kay is Granny's name. I said. Grandpa laughed. Yes, she is your Granny, the girl I married years and years later, but that's another story.